My apologies, everybody. I'm having a little difficulty starting the stream right now. Just give me one moment.
The Pennsylvania Board of Pardons is now in session. The Honorable Austin Davis, Lieutenant Governor presiding.
Good morning. I'll call to order this virtual session of the Pennsylvania Board of Pardons. I'll preside over today's public hearing session. The other 4 board members are also participating, and I'll now introduce them and just ask that they acknowledge their presence. First, we have Attorney General Dave Sunday.
Present.
Corrections expert Harris Gubernick.
Good afternoon, President.
Psychiatrist Dr. John Williams.
Good afternoon, President.
And victim representative Marcia Grayson.
Present. Good afternoon.
While it may appear that some of the matters during the sessions today are handled quickly, I wish to confirm that extensive preparation has been done by each member of the board. This afternoon's session will likely last until 4 p.m. If you wish to have an agenda, it's available on the Board of Pardons website. We will first take up under agenda item 2, what are termed calendar cases. This afternoon, there are 12 calendar cases, and there are 3 possible outcomes for these cases. 1, an application is recommended, which means that we are recommending to Governor Shapiro that clemency be granted to an applicant. 2, an application is denied, which means that a recommendation for clemency will not be granted at this time. The board could vote to hold an application under advisement. This is similar to a continuance and could be done for various reasons if the board is not prepared to vote on a case. I want to stress that the ultimate decision to accept or reject the recommendation of this board is solely at the discretion of the governor. In addition, the governor is not required to act on a recommendation within a specific period of time. So with that said, I'll call the first calendar case to be heard by the board this afternoon. Abraham Cruz. Shelley, we can't hear you.
We'll be admitting Mr. Cruz's daughter, Rita, and his granddaughter, Isabel, and he'll be represented by the Department of Corrections, 2 program managers from SCI Phoenix, Mr. Olinger and Ms. Durand.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I don't know who wants to go first, but we can start with Isabel. If you have a statement, you can go first, and then we can move from there.
Sure. I do have a question for you, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not. But are the victim's family listening too?
I believe this is a public meeting. Shelley, can you confirm that? So I think they may not be in the meeting, but they could be listening to the live stream.
Okay. So the reason why I asked that is, we are requesting a pardon for Abraham Cruz, who is my grandfather, and he is 84 years old, and he is having health issues. It seems as though we were able to figure out next steps if he were to be released, for him to go into a long-term assisted care living. But we will be there to support him. I have to say, this is the second time that I've been a part of this meeting. And the reason why I wanted to address the victim's family is just in light of everything that's happening in this world. I'm sorry. I can't imagine losing someone. And I know it's very difficult for us on the other side. We're asking for pardon because I don't know what the right answer is, because I know being on the other side, it is very difficult. So I did want to address them and just say, I'm sorry for his mistakes, because it definitely did impact their family for a lifetime. I am very sorry and I'm heartbroken for them. And after the last meeting, the last call that we had, it's just heartbreaking to hear, the impact and how it affected the other family when, we're heartbroken because we're missing that person as being a part of our life. We are asking for pardon. We would like for him to be able to, finish out his life. He has health issues. We're asking for him to be able to come back to us, to at least enjoy the next few years that he has left. We will be there to support him. We have a great support system. We're looking at places that he could actually volunteer and feel like he is being productive, as part of it, like a part of our society, part of our community. So that's what I have to say. Is I'm very sorry, and I'm hoping that in their hearts they can find forgiveness, but then also we on our side we are asking for him to be pardoned so that he can enjoy the last few years that he has.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz, for appearing here today. Is there any other speakers? I know the Department of Corrections gave a statement yesterday. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, my mother should be on here too.
What's your mother's name?
Rita Cruz.
Yeah, I think she's on her iPhone.
Okay.
So we've been sending Ms. Cruz prompts to ask her to unmute, and it appears that she's unable.
Oh, 1 second. I was texting her. Let's see.
DOC, did you have anything to add while we're working on that?
Do we just like to continue to state that we do support Mr. Cruz for commutation?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your mom, her iPhone's still on. She just hasn't, she's like, her camera was on, I could see her, and now she turned her camera on. Her camera's back on.
Pressing buttons.
Somebody's trying to help her unmute, I think.
We did talk to her once already, so it seems like it should work.
If you can hear me, just hit the unmute. Usually there's like an unmute button. We can see you. We just can't hear you.
I wish I knew if she was on the app. She sent me a screenshot that she was on. And then I could see in her screenshot that she sent me, her camera was on, but she was muted. Let me ask her.
We're going to try putting her out and seeing if re-entering will give her the prompts she needs.
Okay. I'm going to give her such a difficult time.
I felt like she hit it because it looked like it was muted and then unmuted.
It's my mom. And while she is trying to figure out her issue, I have to say, I don't know how you guys do what you do on a daily basis. Give you lots of credit for what you do.
Thank you. It's not easy.
Just for listening to it all day. It's heartbreaking.
Thank you.
So Shelly, why don't you call her? We'll wrap her in at the end.
Okay.
We'll make sure we give her an opportunity to speak, but just call her and have somebody call and work with her on it.
We'll do that.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the next case. James Dorsey.
For Mr. Dorsey's case, we'll be admitting his mother, Madeline Dorsey, his daughter, Jasmine Dorsey. They're together on one connection. And then Mr. Dorsey's representative from the Department of Corrections is SCI Fayette Superintendent Walker.
Okay, who were the speakers you said again? Can you just repeat that really quick?
Mr. Dorsey's daughter, Jasmine, and his mother, Madeline.
Okay. Hi, can you hear
Good
me?
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you
Yes.
can you hear me
Can you hear me?
okay?
Yes, I can. I have me and my grandmother, Madeline Dorsey, on the screen.
Okay, great. We can see you and hear you. So let's start with Miss Madeline Dorsey, and then we'll move to Miss Jasmine Dorsey.
Hello, my name is Madeline Dorsey. I'm James Dorsey's mother. I'm a little emotional right now, but I'm speaking for his behalf because I've seen a change in my son. From the time that my son was incarcerated, he's not the same person back then than he is now. He's a good guy. He's supportive. I seen like this morning, his grandson had a little complications in school, and he called and he was on the phone with us, and James directed him. Well, you got to make the best out of the situation and tell your teacher, and do the right thing.
Keep on.
And which was a greatness, that I seen in my son, just greatness. He supports me. I'm a sick lady and have different complications going on in my body, but he's very supportive. I would love to see him come home with his mother and daughter, and grandkids, nieces and nephews. He's a great access to this family. And I know it's been a long time. I'm kind of nervous. I don't really know what to say, but I want to say that there has been a great change in my son since the time he was incarcerated. Um, I have breast cancer. I'm on dialysis, diabetic, and and he supports me by saying, "Mom, you can fight with this. You can conquer this. You can't let this conquer you. You have to be strong for me until I get out here to be strong for you." And I said, "You know what, son? That is great." Did we hang up?
Yeah.
What happened?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? And
Yep.
I said, yes, son. And he said, I need you to be here when I come home so I can support you. He never got a chance to spend any time with his grandkids and his daughter. And, he's this rock in the family. I know he's been there for 30 years, but man, has he changed and been so supported to this family. This family's been going through a lot. We had a lot of passing in our family, and he was strong for each and every last one of us. He taught the strength in us. And I see that greatness in him. I see that strength that I always wanted him to grow up to be. And I think he's grown up enough and became that man because I see that change. I just, I don't know. I've done him so long and I don't know where to go next. He got his daughter, he got his 3 grandkids out here, brother, sisters, that, we're just looking forward to him coming home and being with, filling that void in his family. And I seen a change inside the prison as well, the way he talks and, when we're in the waiting room, he introduces me to people who's in there with him, that he knows. Is there anything else I should say? I don't know.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Jasmine, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do. For me, I'm Jasmine, as you stated, Jasmine Brown Dorsey. I'm James Dorsey's only child. For the past 30 years of my life, my father's been in jail. I can remember as a little girl always visiting my father, leaving, my father not coming home, not understanding why my father was, in prison. As I got older, I got different reasons on why my father was incarcerated. I served.
I think they just drop off.
Oh, they're back. We're gonna readmit them.
Are you there?
Yep, we're back. We can hear you.
Okay. When I was 9 years old, I lost my mother. Before I lost my mother, I'm sorry, I had a very close physical contact with my father. I lived on the north side of Pittsburgh where he was incarcerated at the Wall Penitentiary. As I stated, my mom passed away when I was 9. So my maternal grandmother, she moved to Ohio in about 98. So when my mom passed away in 2003, I commuted to Ohio. So the physical visitation and contact with my father was way different. It was not the same. I went from seeing my father on a 2 to 3 times a week, or even once a month, to maybe every 4 or 5 years. And so I became ready to drive and see my father on my own. When I turned 30, I actually told my father that I thank him because I could recall 11 to probably 14 or 15 years of age, I gave my father hell. Excuse my language, but I lost my mother, so I was traumatized. I was lost, but I never seen my father give up. I would get mad and hang up and blame him for not being here, and just an unruly child, mad at the world. But my father, he never lost contact. I was in Ohio. If he had to call through my grandmother or one of my aunts, or he always found a way. He never missed a birthday. My father's very educated. My father's the strongest man I know. Through the walls, my father's taught me everything I know. Like I said, he's strong. I never seen him be weak. I never seen him cry. My father, I've heard him probably cuss 2 times in my life. Once when I was a little girl, and it was probably hell. And just recently, me and my father got into a little confrontation, and I heard him cuss for the first time in my 30 years of life. 30 years of my life. He's very positive. I can name so many different scenarios when I've been down and just out, and my father has always had the right things to say and always very encouraging. I know that my father's had the time to take accountability and responsibility for his actions. And asking for this pardon with my father, like I said, lost my mother and also lost my 4-year-old brother. So I know what it is and feels like to lose someone close. And I know my father understands because his daughter, me, went through it as well, and he's going through it. He hasn't had the chance to be home with us and be home, period. I know if my father come home, he has the support from me, my grandmother, his sisters, which is my aunt, my cousins. He has a very strong support system. I got uncles. There's jobs lined up. I know since he's been there, he's developed certain different credentials, HVAC, electricity, OSHA. I know he's very ambitious about working and going a lot, everything. I watched him do the same with my children, whether it's math or whether it's physical education or, anything. My daughter with little boys, we need my father out here just as a male role model for my children and the other young men that we have growing up. I know when you guys spoke to James, you can see in James who he is. You don't know him, but my father's a very stand-up guy. He's ready to come out to the world and show what he can bring to the society. He's very, very ambitious. I know he can transition into a great man. He's committed to standing up and helping and support with like my grandma said, family. Anything he put his mind to. My dad has studied law. I want to be an attorney. I want my own law firm. With my dad being in jail, it made me want to become a criminal defense attorney. We then took law classes together through the jail. My father, I know he's ready to come home. He's learned his lesson. I know he's very apologetic for the circumstances of what happened, through his youth. But I know I've seen a transition, not knowing really what went on, but I've always seen a positive side of my father. I never seen my father be negative. I never seen my father lash out, give up. You know, there's fathers out here who's not present. And with my father, like I said, I never seen him give up. I didn't block him. He's never stopped. You know, he's a stand-up guy. He wants to do right. He wants to show that he can do the right thing and be present, you know, to his family and to the community.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I know the Department of Corrections is on. Is there anything that they wish to add? I know we heard their statement yesterday.
This is Superintendent Walker. No, I have nothing additional to add that I didn't say yesterday about Mr. Dorsey and all the positive he has done while he's been incarcerated at this facility.
Thank you. Were there any questions from board members for any of these folks?
No, Governor, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you all for appearing here today. We're going to move along to the next case, and so you're free to go. Gail Stallworth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Board members, for Ms. Stallworth's case, will be admitting Cornelius Harp, a friend of Ms. Stallworth, and Willie Spain, who is Ms. Stallworth's brother, and Deputy Superintendent Franz from SCI Muncie.
So, Mr. Harp, how about we start with you?
Board members, for Ms. Stallworth's case, will be admitting Cornelius Harp.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
We're happy to hear what you have to say now.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Cornelius Harp. You can call me Neil. I was born in Pittsburgh, and I'm now a blessed homeowner and business owner in Charlotte, North Carolina. Gail Stallworth and I grew up and have known each other for 53 plus years. My family and our church family, Triumph Church, grew close to Gail and her brother Willie after they lost both of their parents at very young ages. They're like my sisters and brothers. I'm sure Gail was still reeling from her trauma and abandonment on the day of her crime. While she did not intend to harm anyone the night of her crime, she takes full responsibility and is remorseful for those choices she made. She has spent about 4 decades in prison working to atone for her crime. During her incarceration, I'm sure you guys are aware, she continues to make significant progress on mental stability, self-esteem, and personal goals. To date, she has completed 60 plus certificated programs and groups, mentoring peers, and became pretty much a model inmate. No misconducts or infractions in over 20 years. In fact, in 2005, Gail received a humanitarian award from the state for saving a staff member's life by performing a Heimlich maneuver on that staff member. Imagine a woman responsible for loss of life goes to prison, and while serving her time, she saves a life. Talk about promoting human welfare. Well, in October 2023, while visiting Gail after her commutation hearing, Superintendent Nicholas and her counselor, Mr. Wortman, walked into the visiting room. Gail was extremely nervous. Well, delivered the fantastic news of the unanimous decision for commutation. Gail let out a curdling scream. After a very emotional celebration, Gail and I began reviewing our plans for her post-release. In anticipation of her freedom, Gail mailed all of her personal belongings to me here in Charlotte, where she plans to relocate after spending her required time at the CC Center in Pittsburgh. In addition, her brother Willie and I purchased a vehicle for her. Our church donated furniture for her for a bedroom, which has been prepared and waiting since the revote setback. Her car sits in my driveway as we speak. Several dozen family and friends, including our church organization, Triumph Church, have developed a great home plan for Gail. as she transitions from prison to the CC Center and finally to Charlotte. We have a lot of resources. The Let's Get Free organization and its Pittsburgh resources. Several housing and lodging and employment opportunities, such as working with the Pittsburgh-based nonprofit American Youth Journalism Corps, and Solutions Period, which I am the owner. A janitor and AV installation service company based in Charlotte. We do business all over the country, but primarily on the East Coast. The 646 Entertainment Group, which is a multimedia company that I'm one of the principals. Also, she has opportunities to work with two established nonprofit organizations. One, I'm a co-founder of Pathways Opportunity Project and Project 412, in which I play a small role. Since 2020, when Gail began this commutation journey, I speak with Gail just about every single day. However, since the disappointing vote and reversal of her path to freedom, we oftentimes speak twice a day, including weekly virtual video visits, and I attend face-to-face at least quarterly. It is extremely important for me to continue keeping Gail emotionally sound and solid. She has accomplished so very, very much and is eager to re-enter society and become a positive contributing member. Gail has the support of an extremely large community, which encompasses several states. By the way, my 9-year-old niece is excited and waiting to teach Aunt Gail how to use a cell phone. Forgiveness means more than vengeance. The ultimate measure of a woman is not where she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where she stands in times of challenge. I'm very careful when using these two words, deserve and earn. However, Gail Stallworth deserves a second chance because she's earned it. Mercy is God's benevolent treatment of people. We are requesting just that, mercy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hart, for appearing here today. I know Ms. Stallworth's brother is on. If you have a statement, now's the time to proceed.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, first of all, good morning to everybody, and I want to thank my brother there. I think what he didn't mention was me and him grew up in a gospel group and traveled the world, as children. And so we've always had that closeness in our church and everywhere. And, as Neil pointed out, we lost our parents when we were 5 years old and lived with our grandparents. Sometimes they pretty strict or whatever. He's gave you all the technical aspects of her. So all I need to give you is the love part. That, that was my older sister. And when we lost our parents, as well as my grandmother and grandfather in the 80s and early 2000, I knew that there's no question that I'm responsible for my sister. And no matter whatever manner, I'm responsible for her. And I just thank God that he gave me an opportunity to see her grow, to see her change when we on the phone talking. All I ever ask is, when we talking, let's talk real. Tell me how you feel, da-da-da. And so I've watched her grow in her faith. And I had to remember that she's my big sister, not just my sister. And I still take my cues from her because she's the big sister. And I wanted her to always know, regardless of where you at, that role never diminishes. As Neil pointed out, we have so many resources already set aside. I live in Maryland. I'm in the local sheet metal worker 100 union. I've been there. Next year it'll be 40 years. And I have a place and everything welcome, ready to just do whatever's needed to be done. As Neil pointed out that last time, we thought everything was happening. I'm ready to get phones and tablets and all these other things. But as I pointed out, Gail has gone through so many courses, Neil pointed out, and to be able to teach those same things back to us when we on the phone, because, when you're in there, your conversation can get limited sometimes, but she always keep us encouraged when we think we trying to encourage her. So we just really, and I would be remiss as Neil pointed out, if I didn't mention Jesus or God in this process, because that has been the glue that has held us. The Bible says a threefold cord is not easily broken. And we just always invite him in as we go through. We know that is a part of her life. It's a part of our life. And that's who we are. And the Bible says grace and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. And all we ask is for her to have a chance after 40 years to just show. I think that's the whole point of having a part in our commutation, so that somebody can be the success. Somebody can be that perfect model that said, look, we made an absolute correct decision. And I believe, not just from a biased point of view, but knowing her as a person and going up there, I go every month, send her money every month. You know, I'm sure the jail records show that, but that is somebody who is well loved, well needed. You know, her testimony, you know, as we speak to these young people out here, the men can receive us, but the women can't, because there's nobody, we can't speak in that in vernacular, but she can. She can tell them what it's like being a woman and being incarcerated. And hopefully, you know, growing up in the church, they used to always say, if I can help one person, my living won't be in vain. And I know that she's looking for that opportunity. And I just thank all of y'all for giving her every possible consideration. And I thank you for just taking the time to hear what I had to say. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for appearing here today. The Department of Corrections, I know we heard from them yesterday, but do you have anything that you'd want to add?
Yeah, I had talked and gave you my prepared statement yesterday, so I'll be brief today. Just to kind of echo what Mr. Harp and Gail's brother said, she has a lot of support on the outside. I think that's shown today. She was asked yesterday if she deserved commutation, and I don't know that she's ever going to answer that yes, she deserves commutation. What she's asking for is mercy. She realizes the gravity of her actions, the pain and trauma that it caused the Stoker family, and she's truly remorseful for that. I think that came across yesterday during her interview. It's something that she talks about often when I speak to her, just the remorse that she feels for her actions. Mr. Harp touched on the issues with the changing of the decision and how she took that in stride. She continued to be positive. I think that regardless of the outcome today, she's going to continue to be positive. I would hope that she is given an opportunity for commutation. I think she has a lot to give, as her brother talked about. And if given that opportunity, I think she'd be a positive benefit to society. And for that, that's why SCI Muncie continues to strongly support her for commutation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from board members?
I don't have any.
Well, thank you. With that, we're going to move on to the next case. Gene Rodgers.
For Mr. Rodgers' case, we are first going to bring in the DOC reps, which is SEI Mahanoy, Superintendent Mason, and Unit Manager Metapace. There is victim opposition in this case, so once we hear from the DOC, we'll remove them and admit the victim opposition.
Is corrections in?
Yes.
Can they turn their camera on and mute themselves?
Rover 18441.
Okay, great.
This is SCI Mahanoy. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. well, if you do, I know we had heard from you all yesterday, but if you have anything else you'd like to add, now's the time to offer it.
I'm CCPM Buick, and on behalf of the superintendent, we have nothing additional to add unless you have any specific questions for us.
Are there any specific questions from board members?
I don't have any, thank you.
Thanks, DOC.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next person.
It's David Flood, and then Amanda Crone.
Board members, we will be admitting David Flood, who is the victim's brother, and Amanda Croning from the Office of Victim Advocate, who will read another opposition statement.
Hi, Amanda?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Do you have a statement for us? If you do, announce the appropriate time to go through it.
Yes, I do have 3 statements from Thomas Flood's family. And we are going to start with Phil Ward. I strongly oppose the application of Jean L. Rodgers, prisoner ID number AM3315, for clemency of his sentence of life in prison without parole. Application number 56993, Board of Pardons number C-11935. Thomas Flood and I became best friends, beginning when we were 5 years old in 1956. We had so many good times of laughter, fun, and occasional sadness during his short life. To paraphrase one of my favorite lines from the movie Field of Dreams, spoken by Terrence Mann, James Earl Jones, and talking about baseball. This is what I think about Tom. The memories are so thick, I have to brush them away from my face. The second-degree murder of Tom at the hands of prisoner ID number AM3315 on October 16th, 1979, has been the most devastating thing in my life and still haunts me to this day, 45 years and 11 months later. Tom died of a stroke, and yet as I sat at the hospital that day, I wasn't able to process it until my dear friend Tom was removed from life support. I watched his life and our friendship leave me forever. Thankfully, his brother, David, and I were very good friends prior to this, and since then have essentially become brothers. Prisoner ID number AM3315 was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Why is this application for clemency even being considered? Life in prison without parole is quite clear as to what it means and what he deserves for murdering Tom. He has served only 44 years of a sentence of life in prison without parole. To review why he was convicted of second-degree murder, it was essentially a plea agreement to avoid being charged with murder, kidnapping, robbery, theft by unlawful taking, receiving stolen property, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, aggravated assault, simple assault, and criminal conspiracy. These charges could have given him the death penalty, according to his counsel. These charges could have given him the death penalty. This law was and is still in effect in PA. Prisoner ID number AM3315 was advised by his counsel that if he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, robbery, and criminal conspiracy, which he did, he would probably receive a life sentence without parole and not death by capital punishment. He was finally charged with second-degree murder and not robbery and criminal conspiracy, and received a life sentence of prison without parole. The day he was convicted of this crime, he looked at David, and I paraphrase, said, "Soto vice, I will come and get you when I get out." Of course, David shared this statement made by prisoner ID number AM3315 with me shortly thereafter, and I was appalled. David, to this day, is fearful for his life 44 years later should prisoner ID number AM3315 be released from prison. On September 17th, 1980, 4 months after his conviction, prisoner ID number AM3315 filed a petition for post-conviction relief. He alleged that his counsel was ineffective and he had made an unlawfully induced guilty plea. This appeal was denied post-conviction relief on November 12, 1982. Noted here was that Tom, after leaving Central Tavern, entered his vehicle and fell asleep at the steering wheel without attempting to drive. My belief is that my dear departed friend Tom was acting in a responsible manner, as he may have consumed some alcohol and didn't want to take responsibility for driving under the influence of alcohol. Tom cared and respected the lives of others during this short life of 28 years. In prisoner ID number AM3315, statement on his application, date stamped November 4th, 2024, he states, I have been working almost nonstop for 40 years, completed programming required, received journeyman status for shoe repair. And looking at the SCI Mahanoi's website, I see the following offered for inmates: 7 academic education programs, 8 vocational programs, and 16 inmate programs. Some of these may or may not be applicable to prisoner ID AM3315. He mentions none of these, but again, as mentioned above, he does state received journeyman status for shoe repair, which is not noted on any of the lists. How does he plan to use it if it is released? To my knowledge, the cobbler shoe repair business is almost non-existent due to changes in footwear fashion. In conclusion, on this matter about rehabilitating and improving himself, I would like to see such serious forms of social enrichment and education in other fields, such as those offered to him at SCI Mahanoy: custodial maintenance, carpentry, National Center for Construction, Education and Research, certification, CDL, long-term offenders group if he hopes to transition, Money Smart if he hopes to transition, thinking for a change, pathways to success, and etc. Thank you in advance for this opportunity to make my feelings known on the application for clemency by prisoner ID number AM3315 for murdering Thomas Flood. Once again, I strongly oppose the application of Gene L. Rodgers, prisoner ID number AM335, for clemency of a sentence of prison in life without parole for murdering my dear friend Tom Flood. Sincerely yours, Phil Ward, brother, godfather to Tom's niece. The next statement is going to be from Suzanne Hageman, sister-in-law. I am writing to express my opposition to the petition for clemency filed by Jean Leroy Rodgers. BOP number is 56993, PRM number 2757P, prisoner number AM3315. I first met the murder victim, Tom Flood, when we were in middle school. Tom was a compassionate and talented person. He worked with brain-injured children at the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential in Philadelphia. At the time of Tom's murder, he was working in Coatesville and had applied to graduate schools for a master's degree in psychology. Tom loved fixing up old cars, and he was a great carpenter. There wasn't anything he couldn't fix. My sister is married to David Flood, Tom's brother. Tom and I were close friends until his death. I have read Mr. Rodgers' application for clemency. In the application, Mr. Rodgers does not take responsibility for murdering Tom. The murder was committed in stages. First, Tom was beaten unconscious in the Coatesville Central Tavern parking lot. Then his unconscious body was thrown into the back of his car, and he was driven out to the Rock Run Road in Chester County. Then Tom's body was dragged out of his car and repeatedly beaten. Finally, Tom's car was used to run him over, and his lifeless body was left in a ditch by the side of the road. Tom's murder has had a devastating effect on his family and friends. I will never forget seeing Tom after the assault. He was taken to the Lancaster Hospital. He was so badly beaten he was unrecognizable. His head had swollen to the size of a basketball. His family and friends gathered at his bedside. We took turns holding his hand and talking to him softly, even though he was unconscious. These are my last memories of Tom. He suffered a massive stroke because of the assault, and he was taken off life support because there was no hope of recovery. The memories of this vicious, unprovoked murder by Gene Rodgers will haunt me for the rest of my life. Nowhere in Mr. Rodgers' application does he take responsibility for murdering Tom. He does not say he is sorry for his actions. He does not accomplish or acknowledge the devastating impact his actions have had on Tom's family and friends. Mr. Rodgers committed murder. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Additionally, this is not his first criminal offense. He also had prior convictions for DUI in 1977 and burglary in 1978. In addition, I'm very concerned about the safety of David and our family. During the courtroom sentencing for Tom's murder, Mr. Rodgers turned to David and said something like, "When I get out, I'm coming to get you." Mr. Rodgers has already murdered David's brother. Mr. Rodgers has shown no remorse for Tom's awful murder, and if he is released from prison, he poses a direct and imminent threat to David and our family. Furthermore, Mr. Rodgers' claims of rehabilitation or improving his life are unconvincing and appear to be nothing more than the routine actions of an inmate serving a sentence. His arguments, citing 40 years of work, completing the required programming, achieving journeyman status in shoe repair, and a single serious misconduct, do not demonstrate rehabilitation or genuine personal growth, but rather the actions of a person serving a prison sentence. For these reasons, I urge the board to deny Mr. Rodgers' request for a pardon. Mr. Rodgers pled guilty to the unprovoked, vicious, and brutal murder of Tom Flood. Mr. Rodgers was convicted of this murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He has shown no remorse for his actions and has made no attempts to rehabilitate his life. The final statement I'm going to read is from Georgia Flood. I am writing this to express my opposition to the petition for clemency filed by Jean Leroy Rodgers. BOP number is 56993, PRN number 2757P, prisoner number AM3315. Tom Flood was a compassionate, smart, fun, and hard-working young person. He truly cared about helping people. When I first met him, when he was about 24, he was working at the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential, helping severely brain-injured children. At the time of his death, he was applying to graduate school to earn a degree in child psychology. He never got to do that. He was also so talented in restoring old cars, and he loved photography. Tom was my brother-in-law, and we were great friends. We had so many good times together. I often think about him and how we all would be a family today. Tom would have been a wonderful uncle to my children. That leaves a hole in my heart. I will never, ever forget the night we got the call that Tom had been brutally assaulted and was found lying, discarded, in a ditch by the side of the road. We drove all night to get to Lancaster Hospital, where he lay so badly beaten that I didn't recognize him. The doctors did all they could to save his life, but he was so injured that he died of a massive stroke 2 weeks later due to head trauma. When I think of Tom, I get anxious because the first thing I think about is his murder. Then I remember him as a person and my friend. I couldn't describe the sadness and anger that has stayed with us over the years. I still can't understand how anyone could be so vicious and cruel for no reason. Tom was innocently walking towards his car, not bothering anyone. Why? We still search for answers. The loss of his beloved brother changed my husband David forever. He had gone from a happy, optimistic person to one who often struggles with pessimism and anger. Yes, we get on with life, but that feeling of sadness and resentment never goes away. To this day, we are fearful about Rodgers' possible release because he said that he would come and find David if he got out. Now, Jean Rodgers asked for clemency. I read carefully through the facts of his own statement of what he did, which was very painful. In the question box of, what efforts have you made to rehabilitate and improve yourself? He states that he has been working at a job for 40 years. In that 40 years, however, I don't see any evidence that he has engaged in any program that would serve the community or done anything to show accountability, remorse, or moral responsibility for what he did. I have serious doubts about his personal rehabilitation or if he will even be a safe member of society. For this reason, I oppose his clemency. Respectfully, Georgia Flood.
Thank you. I'll note that Mr. Georgia Flood is on the call, but I assume you don't want to say anything given the statement that was already read.
On the call is actually David Flood. I think it's just logged in under someone else's name. He does.
Oh, okay. Would you like to say something, Mr. Flood? Can you just unmute yourself so we can hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
And you can see me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today. And thank you, Amanda, for reading the statements of my friend and family. This is my brother, 2 weeks before he was killed. This photograph was taken by our friend Phil, who came for 15 hours to be with us today. Phil's was the first statement. I'm grateful for an opportunity to read a statement to you. I am Tom's brother. I have read and considered Mr. Rodgers' application for clemency. I opened it with a mindset to look for signs of rehabilitation. And I opened it with a sense of dread. I think about my brother, Tom, my only sibling, every single day, and every day the darkness, violence, and brutality of his last hours are a very dark haze of emotions for me to get through these many years later. I will note at the outset that this legal process we are going through today is entirely a source of re-traumatization for me and my family. And I will be here until the day I die to represent my brother. Tom was my closest, dearest go-to family member. He was my older brother. He was there for me after our parents' divorce, and at the time of his death, he was helping to support me at college. He was on his own way back to school. He planned to get a master's degree in childhood psychology. Tom was only 28 years old when he was killed. He was my soulmate in life. How he was ripped from this life has always just horrified me, Mr. Rodgers. To think of someone you love being beaten and tortured like that is just plain unimaginable. Tom was a true joy to be around. The light of his life was a true light in my life and in the light of many, many, many people who loved and worked with Tom. I was stunned, sad, and fearful when I read Mr. Rodgers' opening words on his application for clemency. He begins his application with a misstatement that, to my mind, introduces his near total denial of all the established facts of his case. Mr. Rodgers states that the assault occurred on October 17th. It did not. My brother was attacked on the 16th. To Mr. Rodgers and perhaps to the board, that may seem like a small fact, but I will start with that. My own family has marked October 16th every year since 1979 as the day my brother was killed. That is the dark day we all observe, but not Mr. Rodgers. For him, the dark day is when he got caught. Where begins accountability, if not with the time and place of the crime? My mother, who was 49 when her eldest son was murdered, could not mention my brother's name after he was killed. She moved away from Coatesville a year or two after the murder, unable to face the streets where he was assaulted and to drive by his apartment. She died at an early age of 65. My mother did not attend the trial and sentencing of Mr. Rodgers in court that day. Upon being sentenced to life in prison, Mr. Rodgers turned to me, looked me in the eyes, and said something to the effect that, when I get out, I'm coming to get you. This is a man who killed my brother. I do not doubt him. I didn't imagine then that we would be here again, that he would once again have the opportunity to look at me and perhaps entertain the same thought. Or maybe I did imagine it then. I have long recognized that victims and survivors of violent crimes need support of all types. I have benefited from very long association with parents of murdered children, with the Office of Victim Advocates and other victim support groups. The need for emotional support in dealing with the murder of a brother like Tom is lifelong. I grapple with the issue that one of the defendants is free today after serving the 30 years of his third-degree sentence. I am dismayed at the injustice that because of lost police evidence leading up to his retrial, That co-defendant is also not in prison for life. I have never felt safe knowing that that man is on the streets. How can I feel safe for the idea that this man, Rodgers, is going to be on the street? And I ask you, why are we considering your pardon, Rodgers, in the first place? His case was heard and tried and retried by a judge and jury. His sentence does not invite truth in sentencing concerns. Life is life. Sentencing disparity is irrelevant given the known mishandling of the case of his co-defendant, nor with a life sentence are age or health relevant. What then would be the justifications for giving Mr. Rodgers a second chance? The standard answers would be accountability, remorse, and evidence of rehabilitation. In his clemency application, not only does Rodgers not recall the day of the assault, his appeal wants us to understand that he was really just a passive agent in my brother's murder. Be reminded, he is not serving a life sentence because of any passive involvement. As for evidence of rehabilitation, Mr. Rodgers himself notes, I don't know if I have merit. He continues, a man was killed and I had a hand in that. Is that accountability? I ask you. And asked why he deserves clemency and why this petition has been brought before us, Mr. Rodgers states, this is something my mother wanted for me before she passed. Thank you. Is that why we are here? Not because he has embraced accountability or expressed meaningful remorse or demonstrated any particular merits of rehabilitation. Where he does express regret, it is only on his own behalf. He states at the outset that regretfully I agreed to commence the hours-long beating of my brother in front of his friends and on a dark country road after that. In his statement, he expresses regret that the car stalled and how he reacted to being yelled at by his co-defendant. It is his regret he's talking about. Regrets that he got caught after the hours-long torturing of my brother. Regrets that he is in prison, not regrets that he killed my brother. Would Mr. Rodgers have us see him as a victim of what? The victim is not in jail. Only 6 words among the 300 or so words of Mr. Rodgers' clemency appeal are given to what is meant to express his, what, accountability? Remorse? I had a hand in that, he wrote. That is not accountability. That is gaslighting. Mr. Rodgers' regret is not that he killed my brother, it is that he is in jail for life. I understand the defendant has a right to appeal for clemency. I respect that right, and promoting that right among deserving populations makes a tremendous deal of sense. So, is Mr. Rodgers a deserving candidate? Here is how I answer, as one person, hopefully with significant input to this outcome. No, I oppose his bid for clemency. Stay in jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flood, for appearing here today. Are there any questions from board members?
I just want to thank you, sir, for putting the effort to put that all together.
Yes, I want to echo that as well.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next case. Joseph Nara.
Board members, for Mr. Nara, we will be admitting his daughter, 2 of his daughters, Shelley Kolaski and Michelle Fincham. And then on behalf of the Department of Corrections, we have Superintendent Evans and Unit Manager Guyton and Corrections Counselor Fudala.
Okay. Shelley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Great. Well, we're going to start with you if you're prepared.
Yes, I am.
All right, we'll jump right in, starting with you with your statement.
Okay. Hello, my name is Shelley Kowalski, and I am the daughter of Joseph Nara. I would like to start off by saying Joseph, my father, has completely understood the gravity of the situation of what he has done. He has in any situation like that. He has showed remorse and has, apologized publicly, to the Cherbys for, causing pain to their family. And he does realize that he has caused, pain and grief to his own family as well. He understands that no amount of words could ever, take back or change what has happened. But he has, like I said, through the years talking, he showed remorse for, what he did. And I believe he has worked and made himself a better person the whole time he has been incarcerated. He's gone through counseling. He has done many different kind of workshops as far as crafting and making extremely nice things for people. Trying to give back, that's his way of giving back. And I do understand, that he's come a long way from the first time speaking with him and everything that has gone on. Also, excuse me, I'm sorry, something came up on my screen. I believe, once he would be out, he would be a law-abiding citizen. I do plan on helping him with his rehabilitation out here where I live at. And I believe that once he gets back out, in the public and makes friends, we will have him. He will actually have, his own place, here with us. He will have his own space. And I think as far as his healing, that'll help him a lot. His health issues are extremely bad. He does have issues with his one arm where he can't pretty much use it anymore. He does have issues with his legs where he does have sores, where his skin will just break open. And it takes an extremely long time for these sores to heal and close back up. And I know he's limited to, as far as medicine and stuff, what he can get, where he's at. His kidneys, he has found out that his kidneys are failing him. He, really needs to be taken care of. And I do plan on taking care of him and making sure those measures, as far as his health, are taken care of, and he gets the best medical, care that he can get. We will make sure that we help him with his disability, getting him, a monthly check to help, pay for his personal needs and stuff. We are not charging him rent or anything like that. We believe, family, you don't do that, stuff to family. So he will have, money to get himself a cell phone and learn how, he's going to have to learn a lot of the new technology that's out here, since he's been in there. So, we're going to work with him. We have a senior center here where, we could take him and, he can meet people. He can do senior, activities. This way, it gets him out of the house. I know he is, he's limited to what he can do because of his legs and having to be in a wheelchair. So I think that would be nice for him, to, interact with, men his age and everything and do senior projects, and like I said, he's learned a lot of skills being incarcerated, and he is very I can say artsy. So I believe with him having the passion for doing crafts and arts and literally making furniture and stuff, I think that he will enjoy, going to the senior center, even if it's just to go down for lunch and just to talk, to people his age. I think that would be, very rehabilitating for him. And I completely understand that, there's going to be a lot of work, and I am up for it. And I know he would love to spend time with his children and his grandchildren. Just for the simple fact is the issue he has with his kidneys. He would really like to, have that grandparent connection, and he is limited to having that, being incarcerated, and he loves his children, and he loves his grandchildren. So I think, he would really enjoy, he's missed out on so much, and I think he would really enjoy having that, family gathering, with his kids and his grandchildren, and doing the family activities that normal people do. We will, make sure, like I said, that his health and everything is taken care of. And I do believe, like I said, I know it's easy for people to say, oh, well, he's your father. And that's why you say he has remorse. But I can honestly say, he cries when he talks to me about it. He cries. So, and that's how I can tell that he really is sorry, for his actions. And I'm sorry, but it makes me upset too. um, but I believe that he would be a good law-abiding citizen. I don't believe that he will cause any trouble. He's been incarcerated for so long, and he has a good record. He hasn't gotten to fights. He keeps to himself, and he worked on that. He worked on reforming himself, with help from counseling and everything, to stay out of situations that would get him in trouble. So I do believe that, he has learned his lesson. Like I said, I know there's nothing could ever take anything back, and, what's done is done. And he really is sorry for, the grief that he has caused, his side of the family and the Turby side of the family. So, do I think he would be a good law-abiding citizen? Yes, I really do. And I don't see him, causing any trouble. He has no desire. He basically said that what he has of his life, he would like to spend it with family. And that's all I have to say. And I really appreciate the time. And, thank you for considering, giving my father parole.
Thank you so much for being here today. And we'll move on to Michelle. If you'd like to say something, I just need you to unmute yourself. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, hon? Or is that Michelle?
Michelle.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Michelle.
Okay. I don't know how to top everything my sister said. She said every absolutely thing that I would confer with. My father, numerous occasions, has told me how sorry he is. Okay. My childhood was a rough one. I was in a home for kids as well. He's so very sorry for the situation that he put on me. The tears he cries. It breaks my heart. And now he's been sick, and there's nothing I can do to help him. I talk to my dad about every other day. Sometimes every day. Sometimes he'll say he's going to call me tomorrow or in a couple of days, but usually it's every day. Sometimes he can't hold the phone. He's always in his wheelchair. And I'm asking for a blessing. I'm asking everybody for a blessing for us to all heal. for the Cherbys, for all of his children. I want him to know my grandchildren, my children. I want relationships to form before it's too late, and bonds, and I want my grandchildren to have stories to tell of their great grandfather. I'm sorry, I'm so upset. I get emotional. I've always had a relationship with my father. We've always stayed in contact. He's always come across as a good man to me. I believe in honoring my father and mother, and I honor my father, and I want my father to be honored. He made a most grievous mistake, and he does understand that what he did was so wrong, and he sees how it tore apart so many of his outreaches, of his children, of their children. It affected it just trickled down. And I know that him being out and being with my sister Shelly and her, all the stuff that she could offer to take care of him, it would be so good for him. And if something was to happen that she couldn't take care of my father, I will gladly step in and take care of my father. I have 2 extra rooms. One's an office and one's a craft room. And he would be more than welcome to be here and be with my family. If that was the case, he would be taken care of here.
Thank you for being here today. And
thank you.
With that, Department of Corrections, I know we heard from you yesterday, but is there anything else you want to add?
Yes, good morning. This is Superintendent Evans. As you stated, I did provide a statement yesterday with a much more detailed account of why we support Mr. Nara, but I just wanted to say one more time today that we continue to support him, and that's really based off the fact that for more than 4 decades, he's remained misconduct-free, and his overall institutional behavior and adjustments have been remarkable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, you all are free to go, and we'll move on to the next case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next case is Jose Nieves.
So there are no speakers for Mr. Nieves except for the staff at SCI Phoenix.
Okay. Hello, I know you guys gave a statement yesterday. I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to add.
Yes, we did provide a statement yesterday, and the Department of Corrections continues to support Mr. Nieves for commutation.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Okay.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. We'll move on to the next case, Ralph Blount.
For Mr. Blount and the cases after him that were from Philadelphia County, we are going to admit representatives from the Philadelphia County DA's office, Sarah Boyette and Amira Jackson. Speaking on behalf of Mr. Blount today is Nadine Blackwell, a friend of his, and Larry Lane, another friend. And then from the Department of Corrections, program managers Olinger and Durand.
Okay, Mr. Larry Lane, if you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on, we'll get started. Larry Lane, can you hear me?
We're encouraging him to unmute. Could we maybe talk to Nadine?
Yeah,
Thanks.
Miss Nadine Blackwell. Oh, Mr. Lane, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I hear you too, and I can see you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If you have a statement, now's the opportunity to give it.
Okay. I'm here for Mr. Ralph Blount. I've known him for years. I've been encouraging him and supporting him ever since he's been incarcerated. I used to visit him on Lifers Day. If you would see fit for computation for Mr. Blount, Strawberry Mansion Neighborhood Action Center could provide services, job referrals, and community services for him. Future Track from the city of Philadelphia, which I teach and coach on, could provide him with opportunities for job with the city without taking civil service exam, and we provide training for job readiness. This is the job I've taken up to do as a consultant after retiring from working for the city of Philadelphia. I've contacted Michael Cord's office for prison release, for people released from prison after long stints in prison. Dr. Bryant Lee Phillips for family engagement from PHMC, Mental Health Care Connection, who would be willing to help counsel Ralph upon returning home and being discharged. I've contacted the Defenders Association of Philadelphia for post-release programs for Mr. Blount. I've reached out to Community Forgiveness Restoration Initiative to be able to foster and to tutor and to mentor Mr. Ralph Blount upon release, and adult blended case management services from the consortium that provide mental health services, housing, benefits, medical care for people released from prison after long terms. Along with that, I have a number of people who are ex-coaches. You know, Ralph played for the legendary John Chaney in high school and then went to Coppin State College, and they won the NIAA championship years ago. The crime that was committed was on a Saturday. That Wednesday he was to leave and to go to Argentina to play professional basketball. And there are a number of old referees, coaches, and professional basketball players here in Philadelphia, which we meet every Wednesday, which we call a wellness meeting, that look forward to his possibility of being discharged so they can take him under their arms and help mentor and research him. Ralph, when this whole thing happened, they wrote large articles in the Philadelphia Inquirer about him. He was known as the Gentle Giant. He was known as the Gentle Giant in the newspapers. He was known as the Gentle Giant in the newspapers, a guy who did a lot of work in the community and contributed to doing things for senior citizens and for children that came up behind him. He's a young man. He was a young man who was looked up to in the community, and people are looking forward to hoping that he can return and be an asset to the community after going through the 45 years that he has of incarceration. I look forward to the opportunity to be able to assist Mr. Blount in any way I can. We know that he will need mental health services. I know I worked with the closure of the state hospital here in Philadelphia and worked in the whole Southeast region of providing health services for the mentally ill. We know after 45 years of incarceration, he will definitely need some mental health services because the whole world has changed in 45 years. The buses now talk to you, cell phones, all these things didn't exist when he first went in. So there's an extended family that would like to extend themselves to him. And we like to see him be able to have opportunity to live out the rest of his life out of incarceration, hoping that a bad day in your life does not dictate your entire life. And there are services that are there for him, and there are people that want to extend themselves to him, and we would like to have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Lane, for your testimony. We'll hear from Miss Nadine Blackwell if you're available to unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you and see you. So you could go ahead and proceed.
Good afternoon, esteemed board members. Once again, I come before you to speak in support of an inmate who was sentenced to life and who's been considered and evaluated for release back into the community. After serving over 2 decades for a heinous transgression against another citizen, Miss Ramona, her family, the Blount family, the community that he grew up in, and hopefully Mr. Blount will be returning to that community. Over our consistent interaction over the last more than 2 decades through visits, calls, correspondence, being introduced to my family, friends, and other support people, I support Mr. Blount due to his growth as an individual by his now understanding how trauma, indecisiveness, lack of clear-cut short and long-term goals prevent one from becoming the full person that they can be, prevents them from being a positive adult who accepts responsibility for all actions and behaviors. Mr. Blount has chosen to learn from all his supervisors that he's had the opportunity to work with during his incarceration to understand the rewards of a strong work ethic and how to produce quality work regardless of what others in the workplace may or may not be doing. Mr. Blount has prayed for and prepared for release one day by requesting doing visits and correspondence on improving his verbal and nonverbal communication skills. He has learned and accepted the benefits of counseling and therapy after being incarcerated, but he has also become aware of the fact that many that have never been incarcerated take advantage of what they can learn through counseling and therapy. Mr. Blount speaks of his deep remorse and repentance for his crime, and he has reached a point in time in his life now where he's finally able to read his entire graphic case, and he shared it with me, my family, my friends who came to visit him because he wanted to be transparent and to really know if we could accept him as he is now and as he was then. We have been friends from high school through college, which is how I came to know him. His ultimate goal is to be able to assist with working with young males from the time of their toddlers through every growth and development stage that they have. Mr. Blount has decided that he would accept services from places like the Philadelphia Reentry Coalition Office, the Prison Ministry Society, the Uplift Reentry Program at Venango. He wants to go to the Community College of Philadelphia for the Adult Literacy Program, even though he is a high school graduate and has attended some college. The other thing is, I feel that Mr. Blount returning back to the community would not be a threat to us because it has been proven, the data shows, evidence-based shows that senior citizens returning in his age group have an extremely low rate of recidivism. And because he has such strong support, I think that further prevents the recidivism on his part. He has a strong support system, and he is committed to accepting help from whichever avenues will move him forward. And as I said, his ultimate goal is to mentor young males from toddlerhood through every stage of growth and development that they have so that they can understand how important it is to make decisions for themselves and to be able to stand when you have to stand alone so that you're not pulled into behaviors that are contradictory, that are negative, and that are harmful to you, your family, and your community. So I would not feel that our community would be threatened. Me and our community really believe that he is out of prison. But when I run into people, I let them know that he is still incarcerated. So I ask this esteemed panel to give him consideration for release. Thank you so much for allowing me this time.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. The Department of Corrections, if you have anything else to add, now's the time. I know we heard your statement yesterday. But...
Yeah, good afternoon, Bernadette Mason, Superintendent at San Mahanoy. I have no additional comments at this time except to reiterate that the institution did unanimously support Mr. Blount for commutation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the ADA's office, the Philly DA's office? Great. Moving on to the next case, Peter Hogan. Thank you all. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Mr. Hogan, we will be admitting his daughter, Rashida, his friends, Sam Whitehouse, and his attorney, who is also a friend, Sharon Browning. We will also hear from the victim's family in this case once we hear from Mr. Hogan's supporters.
Okay, let's start with Rashida.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, good. If you have a statement, now's the time to give it.
Yes. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me the space to speak today. First and foremost, I want to begin by offering my deepest condolences to the victim's family. We hold space for their pain, and we carry it with us every single day. Their loss is not forgotten, and I say that with the utmost respect and sincerity. My name is Rashida Francis. I'm a 48-year-old mother of 5, a college student studying social justice, and a daughter of Peter Hogan. My father has been incarcerated for 42 years. That's nearly my whole life. He's been gone since I was a little girl, and the impact and the absence has shaped everything, my childhood, my family, and the way I show up in the world today. He missed every milestone, birthdays, graduations, my sister's wedding, which broke our hearts because he wasn't able to walk her down the aisle. And the quiet moments that made the family feel whole. When my daughter passed away, I needed my father. I needed his strength, his comfort, his presence, but he couldn't be there. And I want to say this clearly. I know what it means to lose someone you love. That's why I hold space for the victim's family with my whole heart. I don't take their pain lightly. I felt my own grief and I carry it with me. But I also know my father has changed, and I believe he can still bring healing, not just to our family, but to others. Over the years, on several occasions, he would call me saying how sorry he was, apologizing for what he did to me and my siblings. He always sounds so hurt bringing up that topic. So I know he has remorse for the victim's family. Through all of this, my father chose growth. He chose accountability. He chose to become a better man. He inspired me to go to school and get my diploma at a late age, and inspired me to go to college to further my education. He earned his GED, completed college courses, and poured himself into programs that teach empathy, nonviolence, and personal development, and earned so many other certificates and achievements. He's a certified listener with the program Just Listen, a Villanova alumni, and a mentor to others inside. He's not just rehabilitated, he's transformed. He's taken responsibility of his actions and committed himself to becoming someone who uplifts others. He used every tool available to stay connected to us. Through the FACT program, he learned how to be a more present father, even from a distance. He shares knowledge with us constantly, documentaries, books, current events. One of the most beautiful moments was watching him reading a book to his grandchildren. A video reminded me of the kind of man he truly is, and a man who loves deeply and consistently. Even though I was too young to fully know him before prison, it showed me the father I miss and the grandfather my children deserve. Growing up, my Uncle Lloyd would make sure we went to visit my dad. When I was 18, I couldn't wait to go see him on my own, but leaving the prison and leaving the visits was heartbreaking. I never wanted him to see me cry, but the pain walking away from him was unbearable. It was like a knife stabbed me in the throat. My younger siblings once thought we were visiting him in school. That's how we explained it because they were too young to understand. But as they got older, the truth settled in, and so did the sadness. Peter Hogan, my father, is a father of 3, a grandfather of 10, and a great grandfather of 2. We love him fiercely. We want him home not just to make up for the loss, but to build new memories. He always helped raise our children from inside. Imagine what he could do if he was free. Mentoring men, young men, speaking to at-risk youth, and using his story to change lives. Our family is ready. We have housing secured, job opportunities lined up, and a strong emotional support system in place. We will help him adjust, cope, and thrive. He's not coming home to start over. He's coming home to continue the work he's already begun. One of the scariest moments we faced when he called to say he had just gotten out the hospital. The prison hadn't notified us. He undergoing surgery, emergency surgery, and we had no idea. The fear shook us. It reminded us how fragile the situation is and how much we need him home. Not just emotional reasons, but for his self, for his health and safety. Sorry. I know you hear all these stories, and I know you carry the weight of difficult decisions, but I actually see him as my father today. He's done the work. He's shown his remorse. He has grown, and he still has so much to give to his family and the community. We're not asking for a favor. We're asking for a chance for a grandfather to be present, a chance for a father to help his children heal, and a chance for a man who has transformed his life. Oh, gosh. Thank you for your time, your compassion, and your commitment to justice. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. We'll move on to Sam Whitehouse. I can't hear you, sir.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Sam Whitehouse. It is both an honor and a privilege to be here to speak on behalf of Peter Hogan. I'm currently retired, and over the course of my career, I spent 8 years in sales and sales management with Hershey Foods and M&M Mars. After that, I founded a printing company which I owned and operated for 25 years before retiring in 2002. My professional life gave me opportunities to see the value of hard work, integrity, and leadership, qualities that I also recognize in Peter. Since retiring, I've devoted much of my time to service. For many years, I volunteered in Catholic ministry, first at SCI Greaterhood and now at SCI Phoenix. Through this ministry, I've had the privilege of working with and getting to know many residents, but Peter stands out in a very special way. Over the years, I've observed Peter consistently reaching out to others with genuine compassion. He knows kindness, he shows and knows kindness and concern for his fellow residents, not just in word, but in the way he takes time to listen to their struggles and to encourage them. He has a gift for making people feel valued and respected. In group discussions, I've watched him identify the needs of others and then share his thoughts with humility, confidence, and spiritual growth. What strikes me most about Peter is his ability to lead without calling attention to himself. He doesn't lead by force, he leads by example. His calm presence, his respectful manner, and his willingness to share his own growth make him someone others naturally look to for guidance. That kind of leadership is rare and is exactly the kind of influence that builds stronger communities. I firmly believe that Peter is prepared to succeed as a returning citizen. More than that, I believe he has much to offer beyond his own success. With his character, maturity, and deep sense of faith, Peter has the ability to enrich the lives of others on the outside. Whether that means mentoring young people, offering encouragement to those who are struggling, or simply being a steady friend to those in need. For my part, I want you to know that I will be there for him. I would be proud to stand beside him as he transitions back into society, and I consider it an honor to call him my friend. In closing, I respectfully urge you to grant Peter Hogan's request for commutation. I have every confidence that he will not only live responsibly, but also make a meaningful and positive transition to the community. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my support for Peter today.
Thank you. Ms. Sharon Browning.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. It is my honor and privilege also to speak on the behalf of Mr. Peter Hogan. I am Sharon Browning, co-director of Just Listening, which is how I have come to know Peter very well over the past almost 10 years. And in these 5 minutes that I have with you, I would like to address 3 things. 1, his role within our organization. 2, his character. And 3, how we might support Peter upon his release. Just Listening, the organization that I and Peter work with, trains people in a form of nonviolent communication. We train people to cultivate self-awareness before they open their mouths to speak. And Peter's character is why he was drawn to our program in the first place, I believe. He was naturally drawn because of his own preference for being quiet and listening attentively. He has developed an enviable ability to be mindful, to listen carefully without his ego in the way. And that is precisely what we train people to do. In Just Listening, we train people both in organizations as well as volunteer settings like Phoenix to cultivate awareness of their own egos, sociocultural biases, and internal perceptions, belief systems, and worldview in order to understand what hooks them in conversations, why they react the way they do, and then to make mindful, conscious choices of how to respond in peaceful, nonviolent, and intentional ways. As you've already heard, Peter has finely honed and developed these skills and now helps others and trains others in acquiring them through our Just Listening program. With Peter's help, we have now trained over 600 men in Graterford, now Phoenix, as listeners. Peter is a valued and central member of our core team. And with our core team, we share all planning, administrative, recruitment, publicity, and facilitation roles. And at our training events, Peter is the head of our crowd management team. He supervises a group of other core team members who move people into groups, answer questions, move through the crowd with mics, making sure everybody's heard, making sure everybody's peaceful, keeping it orderly, engaged, and on time. He's such a valued member of our team because of who he is. And as others have told you, he's worked very hard, persistently, and with really extraordinary dedication to acquire an astonishing level of education, training, and personal growth throughout his years of incarceration. Peter is a quiet man with a rich and beautiful interior life. He has intentionally cultivated stillness and his ability to be quietly present to himself and to others, always observing and listening. Peter is someone who listens to and learns from nature and considers nature to be one of his primary teachers. This is unusual given that he is incarcerated, but he is connected to the natural world in a truly extraordinary way, testament to his observational skills and his tendency to be insightful, listen, and learn. Last year, our organization was invited to write and publish a book, and Peter was one of the contributors to our book. And because of his input, we actually changed and included an entire section on the importance of observing and listening to and learning from nature as a way to become humble, to learn more about yourself and how to interact with other living beings. Peter is a loving and greatly loved man. His relationships with his family, children, and grandchildren is close and supportive. No small feat when someone has been physically absent for almost 43 years. But this is a testament to who Peter is. Relationships are important to him, and he possesses an admirable ability to be present and supportive to other people. Although Just Listening is not a reentry program, we do regularly provide both personal and practical support to our core team members when they are released, helping to ease their transition back to their communities. Peter already has been guaranteed a stable place to live, and despite the fact that he is 65 years old, he's eager to work outside the walls and has already secured a position that awaits him. We stand ready and able to provide him with support that he needs for whatever needs arise as he makes these changes. He's a beloved and valued member of our Phoenix Just Listening family. Peter is not the same man he was 43 years ago. Like all of us, Peter has lived and learned, suffered, changed, and grown. And he has done this more than the average human. He has opened himself to grace and allowed himself to be transformed. His presence is sorely needed outside the walls in these challenging times, and I respectfully urge you to vote for Peter's release. And I am happy to answer any questions you may have for me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Department of Corrections, I know you gave your statement yesterday, but is there anything you want to add?
The Department of Corrections supports Mr. Hogan for commutation.
Thank you. Any questions from board members for any of these folks?
No, thank you.
Great. Well, thank you all for being here. You all are free to go, and we'll bring in the last speaker.
Board members, we are, just one second, sorry. We are going to admit Megan McNeish, which is the victim's sister.
Can you hear me, Ms. McNeish? Yep, just hit the unmute button one more time.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Great.
If you have a statement, we're happy to hear it now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. My name is Megan McNeish. I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
No, nobody said anything.
Okay. Oops.
Just hit the unmute button one more time.
Sorry, I had to turn off my other thing. I wrote this down, so bear with me. My name is Megan McNeish, and I am the sister of Mark McNeish. I understand that you have reviewed the letters that we've sent to you previously, which go into detail about my brother's life and the devastating impact that his murder has had on all of us. I'm here today representing my 84-year-old mother, my Uncle Gil, who's watching right now, my aunts, my cousins, and Mark's friends, as well as those who are no longer with us. My father, who passed away 2.5 years ago, my grandparents, and my Uncle Pete. But most of all, I'm here representing Mark, who cannot stand here and speak for himself. The last few months leading up to today have been horrible for my family. Many sleepless nights, and my mother has not been herself, being forced into reliving this heinous crime all over again. The process of preparing for this hearing has reopened wounds that never totally healed, and it has forced us to once again confront the nightmare that began on September 19th, 1982, which I'd like to point out next week is the anniversary of my brother's death. Mark was only 18 years old when he was gunned down. He was full of life, an explorer, a dreamer, someone who knew what he wanted from his life and was on the road to getting it. This all ended shot on a sidewalk in Philadelphia when he was spending times with his friends because the offender made choices to pick up a gun and pull the trigger. For my family, that moment never ended. We live with it every day. The silence over the years, the empty seats at holidays, the birthdays that never came, it all began that night. The pain has not lessened in 43 years. It has simply become part of who we are. The offender who murdered my brother made deliberate choices that night, choices that cannot be undone. He stole Mark's future and in doing so shattered ours. A judge, after hearing the facts of this case, determined that the only just sentence was life in prison without the possibility of parole. Granting commutation now would undo that ruling, erase the weight of the original sentence, and disregard the justice that was meant to stand for my brother Mark and for all of us. I am here to ask you to deny commutation. Please keep the person who murdered my brother where he put himself on that night on September 19th, 1982, when he went home, got his gun, and shot Mark. He needs to remain behind bars where he belongs so that my family, Mark's friends, can at least hold on to the one measure of justice we were given. Thank you for considering not just the crime, but the young life of an 18-year-old that was stolen. I also want to point out that everything that the offender's daughter said is everything that we lost when her father shot my brother. He was an 18-year-old college student, a freshman, had only been at Temple for 2 weeks. And he was gunned down in the street. So there were no grandchildren for my parents. There was no graduation from college. There was nothing of that. No family vacations moving forward, nothing. And I also want to point out that the offender has never reached out to my family in any way. And all these things that have been said about him, that's fine, but we have had a missing part of our hearts for 43 years. And he's never coming back. My brother is never coming back. So that's all I have to say at this point.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today and for testifying. With that, are there any questions from board members?
I just want to thank you for your testimony, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for listening.
So with that, we'll move on to the next case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, for Ms. Joynes' case, will be admitting her brother, Alan J. Joynes, and her other representative, Dr. Jill McCorkle, in addition to the staff from Kimber Springs.
Thank you, Mr. Joynes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can start. If you have a statement, we're happy to hear it now.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Hello and good day to the members of the Board of Pardons. My name is Alan Joynes. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my sister, Kimberly Joynes. Ms. Joynes raised me from the first 9 years of my life. She was 10 years old when I was born, and at 19 years old, when she was no longer physically in my life, For the next 46 years, she's groomed me, loved me, showed me how to critically think, make choices and decisions that would allow me to grow and develop to the person I am today. But more importantly, how to help others grow and develop into productive citizens of the world. For the last 46 years, she has proved to be nothing short of miraculous, not only in my eyes, but in everyone she meets. She has maintained her human dignity, her care, her compassion, her understanding, her insightfulness, her unconditional love, while under some of the harshest conditions that humans endure within our society. Although her life within the Department of Corrections facilities has taken a huge toll on her physical body, and she has several health conditions that would be better addressed in free society, I believe my sister grew up into the person she is today because she had no choice. This was the Creator's will. She was an abused young person who never let the pain and suffering she endured strip her of her true nature and love of God and God's children. Her natural love, her honor, and her respect for other human beings was cultivated over these last 46 years and allowed her to grow from her life circumstances. She will always carry the burdens of her convictions. However, I believe she has always used those convictions as her source of strength and will continue to do so and work towards making herself a whole person while also helping others to do the same thing with the following support systems in Philadelphia. Family and community support. I have supported my sister all my adult life in every way that I could and that she needed. I will continue to support her with every need she has once she is released back into society. She will have secure and safe housing at 5418 Chancellor Street and was offered housing from Mrs. Judith Major Jenkins at 815 South Alden Street. I will be responsible physically and financially for transporting my sister to every appointment she will have. Along with my family and extended family, we have a plethora of community resources from Temple University's reentry support teams and the City of Philadelphia Office of Reentry Partnerships. Her reentry and transitional support, my sister's home plan has been established and confirmed. Dr. Reverend Michelle Ann Simmons of the Why Not Prosper Incorporated, a Philadelphia-based nonprofit that assists formerly incarcerated women and reentry, provided a letter of support to the Board of Pardons. Why Not Prosper will also provide employment for my sister as a peer counselor because of her educational qualifications and extensive background in peer counseling. Medical support. I have already contacted my sister's surgeon, Dr. Rima Ahmed, at AHN General Surgery in Greater Erie, Niagara at Hillside. I will seek her guidance in providing referrals with surgeons at Penn Medicine immediately upon arriving home to address her medical conditions. My family and friends have provided letters of support to the Board of Pardons and confirmed they are willing and able to provide financial support, food, clothing, housing, mental health support, transitional support, and employment. The remaining questions are, does she deserve mercy and to be released back in free society? Will she be able to serve the rest of her life on parole and be of service to others in free society? I believe the answer is yes. I beg the board for your pardon and unanimous yes vote today. Thank you for your service and your time. God bless everyone in attendance this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joynes, for your testimony. Ms. McCorkle, if you have a statement, we're happy to hear it now.
Afternoon. I will keep my remarks brief. I'm Dr. Jill McCorkle. I'm professor of sociology and criminology at Villanova University. I'm also the founder and the executive director of the Philadelphia Justice Project for Women and Girls. We work with survivors of sexual assault and gender violence, including incarcerated survivors. We're a small organization. I met Kim through the work of Philadelphia Justice Project, and specifically have been working with her over the last several years on her commutation application. We can only take a tiny handful of people who are seeking our assistance on commutation. So we thoroughly vet those cases. Kim's, we felt, was highly meritorious, and that's kind of how I ended up here today. I've been working with Kim for just under 5 years. Through that time period, I ended up hiring her as an inside advisor. We utilize inside advisors at SCI Cambridge Springs and SCI Muncie. We started it during COVID to kind of understand how the pandemic was affecting incarcerated women in particular. Now we utilize our network of inside advisors to, learn more about what people need in reentry, access to legal services, rehabilitative services, etc. I hired Kim in that position, and I hired her because of her professionalism and her intellect. I will say over the course of 5 years, she has continued to impress me, both with her capacity for empathy and caring, the outreach that she has done not only to other women who are incarcerated with her at Cambridge Springs, but also the work she's done with my undergraduate students at Villanova University. She's hardworking, she's intellectually curious. She has expressed throughout the duration of the time that I've known her, her profound remorse for her participation in that crime. She has sought every rehabilitative opportunity that has been offered to her throughout the duration of her incarceration. And so needless to say, on a personal level, I've been quite impressed with her, and she has been entirely consistent through the duration of my relationship with her. Second point I'd like to make is that in the course of working with her, I've had the opportunity to meet and work with her family and her extended network of friends. And I am convinced of the robustness of the social support that she enjoys now and that she will enjoy if she is granted commutation. You've already heard Mr. Joynes discuss in great detail her reentry plan, both with respect to housing and with respect to work opportunities. I've also offered to hire her on a part-time basis, part-time only because my funding is limited, but hire her on a part-time basis at the Philadelphia Justice Project upon her release. And then just the third thing to wrap up, as a social scientist, I also just wanted to note in terms of the specifics of Kim Joynes, both who she is and the characteristics of her case and her demographics, that she is at the lowest level of likelihood of recidivism. And so I just wanted to echo and agree with the conclusion from the Department of Corrections that this is a candidate who is not going to disappoint. I believe very, very thoroughly that this is a candidate who will make this board proud and who will make all of us who have worked with her for so long very proud of what she's able to accomplish if she's given the opportunity. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. McCorkle. Does the Department of Corrections have anything else that they'd like to add? I know we heard their statement yesterday.
Yes, good afternoon. I'd just like to briefly follow up with a few points to follow up from yesterday's interview. First, regarding her mental health, there were some questions regarding that. Ms. Joynes had no treatment in the community prior to committing her offense at age 19. She has been treated by various professionals over her 44 years of incarceration. This has included different diagnoses, medications, and treatment programs over the years. Her current diagnosis is PTSD, and she does not take any medications for this. She carries a mental health stability rating of B, which indicates that she has a mental health history, but requires no mental health services at this time. However, she does maintain contact with our facility psychology staff. And as she stated yesterday, if released, she plans to utilize a community-based mental health provider to continue to support her. In regards to victim awareness, she has completed victim awareness education class and has expressed the many ways her victim's family and the community have been impacted by her actions. In terms of reentry plan, I think we just heard from our previous speakers that showing that she's maintained strong ties with her family and community, and they're ready to support her for her reintegration. We realize that Ms. Joynes is not able to clearly express her level of involvement in Mr. Martin's murder, but it is clear that she served 44 years for her crime. We respectfully ask the board to consider the totality of Ms. Joynes' transformation and the support system she has in place. We ask the board to recognize the growth she's demonstrated through her education, treatment work, and positive adjustment. Clemency is not the denial of justice. It's the affirmation of mercy, growth, and the belief that people can change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from board members? Seeing none, we'll move on to Leonard Reel.
Board members, for Mr. Reel, will be admitting his representative Anthony Reel and his niece Juanita Dennis and her cousin. I'm sorry, Anthony Reel is his cousin and representative. My apologies.
Who else was on that list?
Anthony Reel, which is Mr. Reel's cousin and representative, and his niece Juanita Dennis, in addition to the staff from SEI Mahanoy, if there are any questions for them.
All right, thanks. Mr. Reel, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself? And
yes, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you and see you.
Yes, how y'all doing today?
Good, good.
Okay.
If you have a statement, now's the time to give it.
Yes, I'm calling on behalf of my first cousin, Leonard Reel. I've been supporting him for the 4 decades he's been incarcerated. Okay, and I know Mr. Reel for 69 years. That's how old I am. He's a first cousin of mine, but he's like a brother to me and my brothers. His mother and father was very good parents. They both passed away while he was incarcerated. His mother raised Leonard in the church, and she also took me and my brothers to church. She was a very Christian woman. And Leonard, I've been supporting Leonard ever since he's been in there, incarcerated. And I feel as though my cousin is a different person, a different man than he was when he was young and when he did what he did. I do know for a fact that my cousin has remorse for things that he have done. And if you was to give him clemency, he will be an asset in the community to the society. Also, my cousin, since he's been incarcerated, has lost half of his family: his mother, his father, his grandparents on both sides, 3 sisters, 2 brothers, since he's been incarcerated. I've been to visit him for the 40-something years that he's been incarcerated. I'm very supportive of him, me and my family. Me and my wife is very supportive of him. And if he do get out, me and my wife gonna be very supportive of Leonard. He has a place to stay with me. If he has nowhere to go, he can come to my home and stay with us. And I'm going to take care of him. I believe he's remorseful and learned his lesson of what he has done. Leonard is a very intelligent young man. Well, let me take that back. Senior citizen. He's a very intelligent senior citizen. Since he's been incarcerated, from what I know, he's been a very good prisoner. And if my cousin had the opportunity to come out here and show society that he's a different person, that will make our family very happy. Leonard, I don't have too much to say, but I just want to let you know that I am supportive of my cousin, and he's like a brother to me. And I think I don't have anything else to say. That I wish my cousin could come home.
Thank you, Mr. Reel. I see we have Juanita Dennis, but her audio isn't connecting.
Yes, that's his niece.
Yep. She's on the call.
Ms. Dennis, if you can hear us, we're going to put you out and bring you back in, and hope that helps you to connect.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. While we're doing that, the Department of Corrections, do you have anything that you want to add at this moment?
We have no additional comments other than what we said this morning about our support for Mr. Rio for commutation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dennis, if you can unmute yourself, we'll get started. Thank you. Ms. Dennis, if you can Great. Can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you. If you have a statement, now is the time to go forward with it.
I want to say good morning to, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. If you have you must be having a streaming in the background because there's a delay.
Okay. All right. I want to say good morning to, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. If you have you might be having a streaming in the background because there's a delay.
Let me. How about now? Are you able to hear me now with no problem?
I can hear. Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak today. I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Leonard Real, and I respectfully request your compassion and support for his clemency. But before I begin, I do want to take the time to acknowledge the profound pain and loss that the family of the victim has experienced. I cannot imagine the depth or the grief that lasting impact of losing their loved one has been on them for all these years. On behalf of my family, I offer our sincerest condolences and deepest respect. And I know that nothing I say today is intended to diminish their loss or the memory of their loved one. And I recognize and I understand the weight of that loss, as I speak for my uncle today. My name is, again, Juanita Dennis, and I am the paternal niece of Mr. Leonard Real. I was just 10 years old when my uncle Leonard disappeared from my life when he was incarcerated. At that age, I didn't fully understand what was happening, or, I just knew someone I looked up to, my loved one, was gone. Now, 46 years later, I sit here today, and I'm asking that the board consider clemency for my uncle. I'm a grown woman now. He has changed. He's an older man now. He has changed. I have been able to, through his incarceration, learn the value of life and judgments that I make. Uncle Leonard, he has been, as I said, incarcerated for 46 years. He's now 70. He spent more of half his life in prison, reflecting, repenting, and transforming. And over these decades, my uncle has always expressed his deep and unshakable remorse, for his past actions. Not only in missing our family, but the impact that he's had on the victim's family. And his words to me over the years have been encouraging, hopeful, and my uncle has taken full accountability in ways of acknowledging the pain that he has caused. In his time behind bars, my uncle has sought redemption through education. He has studied business English. He's done mentorship with the youth that come in and noted to them the judgments that you make, so when you go out, not to come back in and what things not to do, to put yourselves in the same position that he is in today. His faith has been strengthened. He's worked tirelessly to become a man of, humility, wisdom, and service for the younger inmates and who now look up to him for guidance. And his remorse has been fueled by his commitment to help me and other family members avoid the same mistakes. As I said, he would stay in contact with us during the time he's been incarcerated. Many of our family members have been civil servants, like Anthony Real, He's a retired fire department worker with the city of Philadelphia. I've worked with the city. I still do work for the city of Philadelphia, and have been for 28 years of my life as a social worker, master's level social worker. So to us, his family, Uncle Leonard has always been loved. But through the years, he has also become respected. He has written, again, us constantly from behind bars. His letters always filled with encouragement, and apologies and accountability and reflection of all the harm that may have been caused and that was caused from his absence as well as his behavior. He's also become a spiritual pillar for our family. We've always been a God-fearing family. As my cousin Anthony Real said, both his parents are deceased, and my grandmother was the matriarch of the church, and so that's all she hoped for, is that one day her son could gain strength and maturity from his actions from before. She's no longer here, but she always wanted to see that the time that he's in prison would work for something of betterment. And I believe now that he has done the work to honor her legacy. Upon his release, my Uncle Leonard Real is going to stay with his cousin, Leonard Davis. And as my cousin Anthony Real said, he's always welcome there. He's welcome with me as well. And he will be surrounded by a strong and committed network of family members who are prepared to walk alongside him in every step of his reentry journey. He will get help with stable housing and be in a safe and welcome environment. I will assist, as I said, as a social worker, in reconnecting him with resources, including the healthcare, the counseling, social supports that he's going to need, so that his transition is smooth and is productive. He will also get emotional supports. I will be helping him with that, along with other family members, to help him with the adjustments after decades of incarceration, and by providing him that encouragement and guidance and unconditional love that he needs to make that adaptation. So again, as a master's level social worker, I've worked in the field for 30 years. I do understand the impact of what incarceration does in my work with people firsthand in the community who have been incarcerated, families. I believe in rehabilitation. I believe in mercy. I also believe that Uncle Leonard has earned a chance to prove that he can be a contributing member of our society, not just for himself, but for the community at large. And we long to see him at home. I do understand this one thing, that the weight of your responsibility is not something to take lightly. I don't ask that I be lightly, but I truly believe that showing mercy in this case would not only restore one life, but it will also restore the hearts of many. There is a lesson that has been learned by my Uncle Leonard, and he has shown it not just to me, but to the prison, based on what he's done behind bars. With my deepest respect and gratitude, of course I'm nervous as heck, I am thanking you, one, for listening and considering my heartfelt plea on behalf of my entire family. Please grant clemency to my Uncle Leonard Real. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dennis, for appearing here today. Any questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the next case. Thank you both. Alfred Roach. Here today. Any questions from board members?
Board members, for Mr. Roach's hearing, we're going to admit Felicia Miller, who is his cousin, and of course the DOC staff from SCI Phoenix.
Ms. Miller, if you can unmute yourself and you now's the time to give your testimony or say what you have to say.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Felicia Miller, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of my first cousin, Alfred Roach, and his petition to be released on parole. Our family offers our full support for his release. We miss him dearly and are ready to welcome him home to a loving and stable environment. Alfred has taken full responsibility for his actions and has often expressed extreme remorse for the pain that he caused the victim's family. During his incarceration, Alfred has demonstrated a commitment to personal growth and rehabilitation. He pursued educational opportunities, earning both his GED and a bachelor's degree. Furthermore, he has shown his maturity and reliability by maintaining the same job in the shoe department for over 20 years. This shows me that he will be a valuable asset to any employer upon his release. Alfred has already been offered both employment and housing, so two of the biggest hurdles for a successful reintegration into society has already been addressed. I personally am ready to help him with financial assistance, spiritual and emotional support, and his everyday basic needs. Together with the family, we will help him set small, attainable goals, such as obtaining his identification, opening a bank account, and building a strong and positive network. There's a gentleman at my place of employment who was hired after being released from prison while serving a 27-year sentence. He works in community outreach, and he has a list of resources that he's willing to provide us to help with Alfred's transition. So in closing, I am 100% confident that Alfred will abide by all the conditions of parole. He will be a peaceful and law-abiding citizen, and therefore I respectfully ask that you please grant his release on parole and give him a chance to prove his growth. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Department of Corrections, I know we heard your statement yesterday, but do you have anything you want to add?
The Department of Corrections has no additional information to add. We do support Mr. Roach for commutation.
Thank you. You all are free to go on to the next case. Norman Bartlow.
For Mr. Bartlow's hearing, we'll be admitting Richard Flieger, who is a heavy supporter of Mr. Bartlow and his home provider.
Mr. Flieger, if you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on, we'll get started. I don't know if Mr. Flieger can hear me.
We can try and get a hold of him. Also on the line, we have Rita Cruz, which is, oh, she dropped again? Okay. I apologize. We don't have Rita Cruz.
All right, let's start. DOC, do you have anything you want to add while you're putting Mr. Flieger out and bringing him back in?
Yes, we'd like to add an additional statement. Smithfield fully supports Mr. Bartlow for commutation. He's no longer the rebellious 19-year-old teenager that came to jail in 1976, but after 5 decades in prison, he's carried with him the remorse on a daily basis, and he's fully aware of the extent of the harm that he caused to his victims and their families. Sometimes he struggles to express himself, but he does recognize the wrong that he committed, and he's not that same person today. He's participated in multiple educational programs, vocational programs, counseling groups. He's earned certificates. He's been housed on our Veteran Service Unit, and he has done his best to help himself, to change himself, to be better than he was in 1976. He has a viable reentry plan, and he presents as a low risk to society. He works full-time here at Smithfield, and he fully expects to contribute to society upon his eventual release. Over his past 5 decades of incarceration, he's gone through self-reflection, personal growth, and active participation in rehabilitative programs. He's worked to be someone who's no longer the angry, impulsive teenager, but he's ready to be a productive member of society. He has put in significant efforts to achieve this transformation, and we respectfully ask for your merit, mercy, and commutation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Flieger, can you hear me?
We have someone from the staff on the phone with him right now.
Okay.
We're gonna have to get him out.
We're having a hard time getting Mr. Flieger to be able to participate. We do have Rita Cruz again, if the
Okay,
board.
great. We're just going to jump to Rita Cruz.
Thanks.
I'm putting him in the waiting.
Miss Cruz, if you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on when it started.
Okay. Hopefully I got it. Okay. Hold on.
I can hear you and I can see you. Perfect. Perfect. And just for everybody's awareness, this was regarding to case number 1, Abraham Cruz. She had technical difficulties. So if you have a statement, now's the time to read it.
Yes, I do. I don't have anything to read. I just thank you for let me redo it. I appreciate it. I just wanted to say I appreciate you giving me a second chance to talk today, and also that we do have it worked out, and I do volunteer at a church, and I did talk to them about if my dad does get out, my dad will be helping out there with whatever he can do, because I feel it's important that he gives back to the community for the mistakes that he made. So that's one thing that I wanted to address, because he did do something wrong, and I believe that he does need to continue to make things right, for what he did, because things don't go unpunished, and he does need to make things right for what he did do. And he needs to make things right just with the community and also with God, And my heart does go out for the family, because my family also was in the same situation. My cousin was also, his life was taken from us about 4 years ago, downtown Harrisburg. So I cannot I can relate to all of it around. And my father, if you would have known him back then, before he didn't think before his action. He is a good-hearted person. And now he is not no harm to the community, you know, because he can't do much. And I know he's sorry for what he did do. And for me and my family, we will be responsible for getting him where he needs to go. And I will do my part, and my family will, to get him out in the community to serve and getting him to where he needs to go to appointments, and to do my part. And my family will, to do whatever we need to do to re-socialize him, you know, to get him back in there. And I just asked for another opportunity just to have what he has left in his life, just to be part of it.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you being here today. And with that, you're free to go.
All right, thank you. And you have a blessed weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Shelley, do we have Mr. Flieger back?
We do. We believe you should be able to connect now.
Mr. Flieger, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself and turn your camera on?
Hello?
Yep, can you just turn your camera on? I can hear you.
Get that figure up there. The picture of the man.
And honestly, we can hear you, so if you want to give your statement now, we can all hear it. We don't necessarily need to see you.
Okay. You can hear me then, right?
Yep, we can hear you.
I would like to say that Norman vowed to not harm anyone. This was early in his prison experience, and or assist anyone planning to harm others. And I consider him trustworthy because he trusted with money. At Albion Prison, he was a helper for the education department. He sought to learn a lot of self-help books. He taught welding, refrigeration, diesel mechanics. He coached 8 years in powerlifting, and he was in charge of 3 physical fitness classes. The prison sent him to Smithfield to calm down the attitudes among the prisoners at Smithfield. And he has told me he has stopped prison confrontations throughout his period in prison. If he gets out, he could assist troubled children as a possible interest that he has, among other things. That's what I have to say for Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Flieger, for being here today. And with that, we're going to recess to executive session and then return for the public vote.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.